Hello, everyone, and welcome to FHP, and more formally known as the Football Home Podcast. So far, it looks like it's just me and Harry, but the two others will join shortly. We're going to start by doing the game. Harry, is my audio okay?
It's only me.
I was asking if the audio is okay.
Huh?
Is my audio okay? Because I'm hearing a
Yeah,
slight
it's
reverb.
fine. Yeah, nothing wrong with it. It's
Okay,
perfect.
awesome. So we're going to start by talking about the Premier League game week, 9 games. The first one that will come about. Okay, maybe I'll switch that. I'll go to the most important game that involves Harry at the moment, which is Manchester City versus Man United. Obviously, we know that Man City is on top form at the moment. They've never looked better, especially with the addition of Haaland and their team, and then Man United seems like a team that's getting its stride at the moment. What are your thoughts on how the game will most likely go?
It's going to be an interesting game. I think the big problem for is going to be how to deal with Haaland.
Yeah,
I worry about the defense a little bit for United because obviously Haaland is quite a big guy,
yeah,
and we've obviously talked about before about how Varane and I can't remember who the other guy is in the defense that they're quite small.
yeah.
That's been kind of dealing with it, but dealing with Haaland is going to be an interesting. See how United do with that, but yeah, look, it's going to be an interesting game. City have a lot of threats at the moment between Foden and
Yeah.
Haaland and De Bruyne all linking up well. The defense seems to be good. I know there's question marks over whether John Stones will be available,
Mm.
but I think if United can, I think they have a good defense. I think if they can sit back and hit City on the counter attack, let City play, but also try and shut them down in the midfield. Try and shut down Kevin De Bruyne. If you can shut down and isolate De Bruyne
Yeah.
and stop him feeding the likes of Foden,
Haaland. Yeah.
Haaland, Bernardo, then you're in the game. And I
I
think
think
United
you're.
have a really good front three in Rashford, Sancho, and Anthony, that they have the pace there to hit City on the counter. And I think we've seen times this season where City have been hit on the counter and struggled, like in the Aston Villa game.
Mm.
So that could be it could go either or two ways. I can see. I couldn't call it. I would probably have to say a draw, but it could it's going to be interesting to see how
Yeah,
they
I
go
mean,
about.
Man United has performed well against
They have.
Liverpool, but obviously Liverpool haven't been at their best at the
They
moment.
performed
And
well against Liverpool and Arsenal.
mm,
This is the big test, though. This is the big one.
yeah, I think you're on point with
City are
your
a different
assessment.
animal to Arsenal and Liverpool.
Yeah. Let me try switching to the other game. But I think you're right with Alessandro. Even though he's short, I think from the games
Sandro
that we've
Martinez.
seen him
That's
play,
who.
he's quite on point with that. So, and I
Like,
think
how's he
City
going
is
to
going
tackle Haaland? Because Haaland is huge. Like,
huge.
Haaland is
Yeah,
6 foot plus.
huge physicality battle. I guess we can jump on to the next game, which is Arsenal versus Spurs. My take on it is it's going to be a difficult one to call because both teams aren't usually like the best. They're like maybe top five, top four teams, kinda. So it's going to be interesting seeing how they play. I think it's most likely going to be a draw, but with Son picking up form, it could literally go anywhere. So I mean, Jesus as well is quite a good striker for Arsenal. So yeah, thoughts on that, Andreas?
Say it again. I'm trying to make this work on my
No problem.
computer.
Yeah, I was just saying, with Arsenal playing Tottenham, I think both teams are almost at the same level. They have quite good strikers up front. Defensively, they look decent, and the midfield is almost like equal. I mean, I look at Højbjerg, who's good. I look at Odegaard from the other side, who I think is currently injured. I mean, they have Saka up front too. I think it's most likely going to be even. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a very interesting game. Of course, a game with two teams that really hate each other. And then I think Spurs and Arsenal is in a very interesting position right now, because they both look way stronger than they have done for a while now, both teams, and Arsenal in particular have been kind of out of the Champions League places, where now they are actually a real threat and contender. And Spurs has been like a contender for a few years now, but not as good as they are right now. So I think this is going to be a really interesting game. And I think even though they both are contenders and threats, they still have this, like, there's not really anyone that I at least don't consider Spurs a real threat to win Premier League or Champions League, as we have talked about, because Spurs still is this, like, mentally they are not they're not used to the trophies the same way the other teams are. And with Arsenal, we saw how good they are, but we saw that they are not good against the big teams, like against United. And with Spurs, we saw it against Sporting. So I think both teams has this. They're like this kind of this upcoming teams that's like really hungry for success and has a lot of potential, but they're not quite there yet, where I'm thinking they can actually win some big stuff yet. So I think this is going to be a really interesting game to see who is like the closest to be a real big threat between those. Yeah,
I mean, Spurs hasn't even lost a game yet. Harry, do you have some thoughts before we jump on to the next game?
Just echoing a lot of what Andreas said. I think Arsenal have shown that they will struggle against the big sides, like they did against United. They do have a lot of quality, though, in that midfield and up front, so they could do something. But Spurs have a lot of quality too, and both sides have enjoyed a really strong side to the season. Spurs haven't played anyone though yet. They had their game cancelled against City because of the Queen, I think.
Yeah.
Because of the police. So they haven't actually yet faced anyone major this season that I can think of off the top of my head. So it'll be an interesting one. I would be inclined to probably say Arsenal to edge it, but it could go either way, literally.
Yeah.
Both sides have so much quality. If Son and Kane can click, then they'll do well. If Jesus and Martinelli get somewhere, then
yeah, I think everything can happen. Anything can happen, but if I had to choose, I would probably say, if I had to choose one of them to win, I think I would say Spurs.
Same, yeah.
But it very close, very close.
Yeah, I guess with that we can jump on to the next game we're going to be covering, which is the Bournemouth versus Brentford game. So a little bit of what's been happening for both teams on their season. Both teams have both won twice so far in the games they've played, with Brentford having drawn 3 times and lost 2 times, while for Bournemouth it's 2 draws and 3 losses. So both teams, Brentford seems to be averaging about 2 goals per game, and then Bournemouth almost score 1 goal every game but concede 3 goals. So I think they have not been at their best form at the moment, and their league standing being at 12 really does emphasize that. What are you guys' thoughts on how this game is going to go?
I think Bournemouth, since sacking their manager, they seem to have kind of come in a little bit and gained a little bit of form. Gary O'Neill, we'll probably talk about it in a bit, but Gary O'Neill was nominated for Manager of the Month.
Yeah.
Which is a bit of a turnaround. I think they managed to draw 1 and win 1. I think this is another game that they can probably target and say, yeah, we can win this one. Why not? Brentford have been up and down this season. They beat United, but then haven't really done much apart from that. If Bournemouth can keep Ivan Toney quiet, then they have a chance, but he'll be the man to watch there. Can't see it being more than a draw. I can probably see maybe a Brentford edge it. I don't see who's going to score the goals for Bournemouth.
Yeah, they've been quite poor concerning that. And now we can maybe jump onto a topic that Andreas will most likely like, which is the Crystal Palace versus Chelsea game. Which so in Crystal Palace's history, they've only beaten Chelsea 4 times, and Chelsea have beaten them about 20 times. And interesting, their average goals and goals conceded per match are almost the same, with both teams scoring 1.2 goals per match and both teams conceding 1.5 goals per match. So I think maybe there is a chance that this game could end in a draw, but obviously that's not going to be a favorable result with the new manager, playing his first Premier League game. So, well, under Chelsea. So, Andreas, how do you think this is going to go?
I think you're putting it very well with what you said. With
Yeah.
It won't be good enough. But I will get back to that. I think with Palace, I think usually I would just say, oh, we have to win this. But Palace is good. Like, Palace is pretty good right now. And where a lot of those like mid-table teams have dropped down a little bit, like Leicester and Wolves and teams like that, Palace is going the way up. And is becoming better. So this is not going to be an easy victory or anything like that. But as you said, and I think that's the key thing for this for us, that we have to win. Like we have to win. This is like a huge chance for Potter to show that he is the right man, and after that draw in Champions League, this will be his first Premier League match for us. So he has to do something good. Like the thing is, and I talked a little bit about it last episode. The thing is that usually it will be okay to say, oh, he's new and it will take time and stuff like that. And of course it will be fine. But at the end of the day, we really need to step it up now. Like we can't say, oh, okay, it's going to be fine in 10 weeks. That doesn't matter. It matters what's going on right now. Champions League, we need to move on. We can't be eliminated already. And we have to win against teams like Palace. As you said, we have beaten them 20 times or something. They have beaten us 4. Like it's a match we have to win. So we can't just be like, oh, he's a new manager and hopefully it will come. It has to come now. So I think after seeing last his first match, I think that there's possibilities, and I think it can end up being good. But it's just it wasn't. I was not looking at it like, oh, okay, this is Potter style. Like that, there was still a lot of Tuchel in it, and it will take time to like make it his own team. It will take time for him to make it his own team. But I'm very curious and interesting to see what he can do in this match.
Yeah, I think that because I think you're right. It's really gonna take time before he imprints his identity, because if he makes such a quick switch, then they might find themselves in more trouble than they are. Harry, do you have thoughts on the Crystal Palace versus Chelsea game before we move on to the next one?
Yeah, look, Chelsea have been in had a rough time in things this season, haven't they? They've not gelled, they've not clicked. Just looking at the last 3 games for both sides, Chelsea 1-2, lost 1. Palace lost 1, drawn 2. So Chelsea have kind of seemed to find a little bit of form. Maybe the international break was good for them as well, just to regroup. Palace having a really bad run of things lately. Look, Chelsea have the quality, and I think their players are scoring. Players scored for England during the week. Players scored for Germany. Mason Mount scored. Kai Havertz scored 2. So they have players that are scoring, that are on form. If they can get it together, then they should win. But Palace are a bogey team that have the potential to upset them. But I think it should be a comfortable enough win for Chelsea.
Yeah. Guess we can jump on to the next game, which is going to be the Fulham versus Newcastle game. I think I'm liking this game because I'm sure these teams have played together, well, against each other in the championship division, and it seems like both teams have actually won against each other an equal amount of times, which is both at 12. And the surprising stat for me is Fulham has only lost 2 times this season, and then Newcastle has only lost once this season. And usually with teams like this, you'd expect them to have lost maybe 3, 4 times at this point, but both of them either draw or win. So it's a quite interesting stat I realize about both teams. I don't know who to root for. I mean, I think Newcastle is an overall good team. I mean, they have Saint Maximin. They have all these important players in all these important places, and they almost have 2 players on average for every position. So they have a really strong squad depth in terms of all the other positions. And who do I think is going to win? Jeez, Mitrovic for Fulham. I don't know. I think I'll still stick on Newcastle. I don't know. It's a tough one.
You want me
And
to
your
start?
thoughts?
Okay,
Yeah, I mean,
I start.
let's let this guy start.
Yeah,
what are your thoughts?
Come on, say something.
I mean, guys, for me, I really like Gone. Okay, sorry,
My God.
but I'm obsessed. Sorry, I can't help that. But Fulham versus Newcastle. I mean, I've watched Newcastle, and without Saint Maximin, they kind of struggle in the build-up, and it's going to be interesting to see how they manage to work around that, because Fulham are a wild card. Every time that I've thought that Fulham are not going to be able to pull through, they have. So I think it's going to be a close game, but the scales are tipping more towards Newcastle's side. So if they can have their players back and they can actually work some magic through Trippier, they start using him more often and more clinically. I think Newcastle can actually win this one, but I wouldn't, totally write Fulham out.
Yeah, I think this is going to sound rude, but in many ways this is Newcastle against Mitrovic. So it kind of depends. I think it depends on how good is he. Can he make, let's say, 2 goals or something? Then I think Fulham is winning. Can he not? Then I think Newcastle is winning. So it depends on is Mitrovic going to be this crazy goal threat like he usually is? Because I think Newcastle as a team is honestly levels ahead of Fulham, and they should be, like, both with money and the amount of players they're able to get and stuff like that, with Fulham just getting promoted back to Premier League. So Newcastle should be better, and I think they are, but Mitrovic he's just very good, and honestly probably too good to play in Fulham. So yeah, I think it's going to be a really, really interesting game, actually, because I consider Newcastle as one of the better teams in Premier League, and again, I've said it before, I'm sure they will end up in top 10 at the end of the season. So I have Newcastle, but again, Mitrovic, everything is possible.
Okay, I think we'll start off with Harry for the next game we're going to be reviewing, which is the West Ham versus Wolves game. I mean, both teams, they're not really playing as well as everyone would hope that they do. Then a little bit on the statistical side of things. Wolves have lost about 3 games this season, while West Ham has lost 5, which is kind of shocking because we've seen David Moyes do wonders with this decent team, but it looks like this season isn't for them. Both teams have only won once this season, and yeah, I think it's just a tale of a bad story. It's almost like a nightmare that just can't stop ending. Harry, what are your thoughts on who's going to win, if any? It could be a draw for all you care.
I can see this being a very, very dull 0-0 draw.
Exactly.
Wolves are struggling. They don't have a striker at the minute. That's the problem. They're not scoring goals, and that's their problem, because they have a good midfield, good defense, but they're just not clicking up front, and they're not scoring goals. Whereas West Ham, I don't even know what the problem is. They're just on an awful run for whatever reason this season. Like, this is a West Ham side that was challenging for top 4 last season up until the last 2-3 weeks when they blew it.
Yeah.
It's a West Ham side that are in the Conference League at the moment. They're easily at their best a top 10 side. I don't know what's gone wrong for them this season, but they need an injection of something different. Not much that's going to happen in this game. I can see it being a very dull 0-0 draw. Both sides are struggling at the moment.
It's almost like it's gonna be a relegation sort of like game. Whoever loses this game, it's almost like they're setting themselves up for failure in the future because both of them are 17th, 18th place, so they're really down there.
I mean, if I had to give a comment, I think I agree with Harry when it comes to the scoreline. It's going to be a boring game. But if I had to watch both these teams, and I have watched them actually, West Ham are looking powerless. Like, I mean, something's lacking in the midfield. Their attackers are just dead. Kamaka's not playing. Antonio's not that great anymore. Whereas the problem with Wolves is they're lacking a striker, and I think if Diego Costa can kind of just step up a little, then they can at least not be in that relegation zone battle, And honestly, watching Wolves play is great because there's energy. You can literally see energy in that team. You can see they're going back and forth. They actually want to win their 50-50 balls. They're putting their all in for those aerial duels and all that. So there is effort when it comes to Wolves, but they're lacking someone that can actually turn those efforts into goals, right? Whereas West Ham are considered, I think, Harry, I think we discussed this last season, you weren't there, but I think all of us sort of agreed that what West Ham are going through right now is, a winner's fatigue. Like, they were too successful last season, and now kind of they fatigue, and it's more to do with mentality than it is to do with tactics, maybe.
They've had a couple of good seasons, so it's not just last season. The last 2-3 seasons have been good for West Ham.
I mean, you're right. I mean, they've been good for a few seasons, but the last one was amazing. Like a few seasons ago, I probably wouldn't have paid attention to West Ham much, but they were a team that I was following last season so much. So, I mean, it kind of does prove a point. Them being consistent for a while, there does come a downfall, and I think what they're suffering from right now is a winner's fatigue. Maybe, a few signings here and there, and selling a few players and restructuring the entire team a little bit. I think that will probably help. But I agree with Harry about the scoreline of this game, and I think it's going to be very close, neck to neck. But if I had to predict, I would say 2-1 to Wolves. If we're very lucky, we'll see 3 goals. But I think Wolves will win this one, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, especially if Diego Costa actually does come in and make that all-important impact, because like you guys said, their attack is the only thing that they're lacking. Defensively and having that midfield block, they're quite good. So if they can just fix that one sort of like aspect of their game, they should be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
To be fair to Wolves, against City, they held them for a long time, even with 10 men. They held City, even with 10 men. I think I had a defender sent off. So they are capable of defending well. So if they can frustrate West Ham and nick one on the counter-attack.
Agreed. And not to mention, Wolves are not playing any European competitions. They're only playing the English Premier League, whereas compared to West Ham, there'll be fixture congestion because they're playing Conference League as well. So, Wolves are in a better position to actually, win some aerial duels, be less fatigued, and then actually hit West Ham where it hurts. So, because if you look at the Portugal national team, it's stacked. So, a lot of players from the Wolves are not there, except 3 or 4 of them. So if you look at that, then a majority of the team from Wolves is actually getting rest because they don't have national duty, and I think Wolves can actually, make a dent in West Ham's dreams to get back to the top.
Yeah. I think with that we can jump on hopefully what I think will be Liverpool's rise in the season that's been quite disappointing with some silly last minute wins, but we should be more clinical. I mean, Liverpool, in terms of the history between the two teams, Brighton has only won once against us in about 10 games, and we've won 7 times against them. And then in terms of Liverpool's average goals, they score is about 2.5, and we concede 1 goal per game, while for Brighton, they score 2 goals and don't concede a goal in their matches. Look, I think Liverpool obviously has to be a favourite in this game, especially with the instability that comes with a manager leaving a team. And hopefully Lallana, as like the player manager, can throw Liverpool a bone so that we at least can find ourselves in a better position this season. Because it's not.
No, I wouldn't go so far because last season you guys were very dependent on Stevie G
Yeah.
to defeat Manchester City on the final day, but it didn't happen. And then you called him Judas all over again. So let's not go there. Let's not go there. You're in for a heartbreak if you're expecting somebody to do a bad job.
I mean,
I wouldn't go so far.
Lallana has to be our agent. Come on, the amount of things we've done for him and he's done for us—that's the least he
I
could
mean,
do.
to be fair, Steven Gerrard was a bigger legend, and he's done a lot more for you guys, and you guys have done a lot for him as well. But if he didn't give, what makes you think Lallana will? It's just insane. You guys even think that way. You guys,
Andreas.
you know what Liverpool needs right now? They need a winning mentality like Real Madrid. Last week Andreas was stressing so much on the fact that Real Madrid have a winning mentality, so to speak. So yeah, I think Liverpool are lacking that. They are not the mentality monsters that they used to be 2-3 seasons ago.
There is one thing with Real Madrid, though. They are not the most clinical team in the world. We have to remember.
Okay.
That is
Let's move on.
Barcelona.
Harry, what do you think? What do you think of the Liverpool game versus Brighton?
Look, I mean, Brighton have had a decent enough start to the season. It'll be interesting, I think, to see how Lallana does. I think this is probably his second game in charge. Be interesting to see how he does and how he picks it up. But Brighton have had a fairly decent start to the season. If they can kind of keep up the work that Graham Potter has done in there, then there's no reason why they can't kind of give Liverpool a run for their money, especially because Liverpool, a lot of players are off form at the moment. You look at Salah, who's having a barren spell. You look at Trent struggling. You just wonder where goals and opportunities are going to come from. I'd like to see Jota start, to be honest, this week for Liverpool, because obviously he scored for Portugal during the week. Firmino is doing all right too. If you can maybe look at a formation of maybe getting 5-3-2 or 4-4-2 or something, or 3-5-2, get the two of them up front together. They can do a lot of damage. They have the potential. I think Liverpool on paper have the stronger squad and should win it, but they have struggled a lot of times this season for whatever reason. I think Liverpool will win it though.
Yeah. I think
they do have a lot of players that are just off form at the moment, off colour.
I think the key thing with this match is that now we talk about Brighton having been very good so far, but that was a different manager, and I think that's the key thing in this, is to see, is Brighton the same team or is it a different team? Because I think I've said this before on this podcast, that Potter was the definition of what made Brighton for the last seasons, and what made Brighton so good now. So it's going to be interesting to see, are they still this good, or has they kind of lost their idea and who they are? And I think with Liverpool, I think a good start for them was beating Ajax. I think that was a really important match, a win. But I'm not sure that they're quite there yet. And I think this match will be a good indication of, are Liverpool going the right way, or is it still kind of the same? Because no doubt Liverpool has the best squad. Like, of course they have. It's Liverpool, but it has just not been that good so far. So that's going to be interesting to see. Was the Ajax win the beginning of something very good, or is it kind of the same?
I think you're very much right. I mean, looking at how Brighton have won 4 games and we've only won 2 this season, I think that's an indicator that they are a strong team. But I think with the instability that comes with losing a manager, it might not be such a good defining game in terms of is Liverpool at the right level or not because of that instability that comes from the other team. But I think other than that, Liverpool should win. Yeah.
I mean, I have 2 things to say. Sorry, did I interrupt you, Richard?
No.
No, even if I did, I wouldn't care. But I have 2 things to say. One, I don't believe in Andreas.
Of course, you don't.
Porter is good. I like him. He's a great player. Manager. He
don't even know if he's the manager or player. Oh my god.
He builds this team around cohesiveness, and there's not one player that he completely relies on. There's small players that he uses that to get a better game. So I think Porter is good, but he's not as good as Andreas says he is, because one, he is now, of course, managing Chelsea, so the bias is going to step in. 2, with Liverpool, I think Liverpool should be really scared of this one because Brighton are in great form. They're in great form, and not to mention that they have a team that does not have a lot of people that need to go for international duty. So that team they also did not play last week, so they have a lot of time to train and practice drills, maybe, if that's how Lallana's wanting to do it. But if that's what's happening, then there's a lot of time that Brighton has to hurt Liverpool where it actually hurts them. And Liverpool, on the other hand, they're just not making it work. It's pretty obvious that no matter what they try, different formations, different players, I don't know, it's not working out for them. Maybe it's time to try a new manager.
No. Let's not get over dramatic at this point.
I have a quick question to Abu.
Yeah,
Abu, do you think Brighton will have been 4th or whatever they are in the league right now if Lallana was the manager from the beginning of the season?
I mean, that's for another episode of What If.
I want an answer. I want an answer.
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. Okay. Lallana, I have a lot of trust in that guy. Okay. I think Porter is not the guy that is to be given all of the credit.
Okay. Let's stop with the
But here's a question, Harry. Do you see Jurgen Klopp getting sacked before the end of the season or after the season ends?
No. Well, it depends on how bad things get at Liverpool, but I don't see him getting sacked unless Liverpool go on a horrific run. Like, they're not Chelsea. They don't just sack their managers willy-nilly.
That's a low blow right there.
No, it's true. I'm not going to argue with that.
Well, our managers don't resign as well, unlike the Real managers who are just bad. I don't want to mention names, but we all know the couch manager. Anyway, we'll jump onto the other Merseyside team.
No. We'll discuss this right now.
No.
Ever since I supported Real Madrid, we'll discuss this right now. You can't take a low blow and then get away with it.
We're going to jump on to the next game, which is Southampton versus Everton. So far in the 46 games they've played against each other, Everton has won 20 and Southampton has only won 14. In terms of their winning streak so far, Everton has only won 1 game this season, while Southampton has only won 2 games. I don't know how this is going to go, especially with Everton having lost Richarlison in their team, and they've also lost Cody, who's now at Wolves. I think those losses are really sort of like degrading the level
Cody
of.
Is at Everton.
Hey.
Cody is from Wolves to Everton.
What?
It's
Cody moved from Wolves to Everton.
Wait, what? Oh yeah. Sorry. Yes, that. Sorry. Thanks for the fact check. But,
what the hell is wrong with you? First you insult Zidane and then this.
Okay, Abu, you just said that Potter was a player, so you should not start about talking shit.
There's nothing worse than that. Look, I don't know who's gonna win here, but I think I'll predict a draw for this one. What are you guys' thoughts on that, Harry?
Yeah, look, it's gonna be an interesting one. Everton are another team that just can't score at the minute. I don't know whether Dom Calvert-Lewin is back yet. if he is, that's a huge boost for Everton because they could do with him. They do kind of seem to lack a little bit of creativity maybe in that midfield. It's a very defensive Everton side. They struggle to score goals is what I found with them this season. Southampton haven't been great either. Let me just have a quick look at the form table here.
14th.
Everton are actually in 8th place somehow. In the form
Who's in 8th place?
In the form tables, they've had four. Their last 4 games they've drawn 3, won 1. Isn't bad. And then Southampton lost 3, won 1. So on form, I could see it being a draw. To be honest, I can see it being a 0-0 draw, maybe 1-1. I think it's a game though that Frank Lampard will want to target and say, "This is one we can win," because they know they can win it. It's Southampton not have the best season. I think both sides will be trying to target it, but I think in particular Everton can look at it and say, "This is one we should win and can win." Southampton have been very close to relegation last season. They're down there again this season. Everton, if they can just get themselves together, they can be really good. Just lacking up top for me, that's the only problem. Lacking the creativity maybe in midfield and out wide that they can help them score.
Okay.
I'm going to leave quick and come back on my computer.
No problem.
In the meantime, I'll take over and talk about the game. But before I do, I'd like to say Zidane just, resigned twice because he did not believe in the project. He's the best manager ever there is. And we will see after the World Cup when he starts managing France. Anyway, when it comes to Everton versus Southampton, Zidane is the best. I think Everton are going to want to win this one. They are definitely going to want to win this one because, a club as big as Everton cannot afford to play in the league, like in the second division. It'll be horrible. It'll be horrendous. So I think for Everton this season, the idea is just to survive a relegation battle, just to stay in the Premier League, maybe get some sort of cash, get some new players that will join the club, and then maybe start a revolution of some sort to make sure the club actually makes his way back up to the top.
The thing is, this is Lampard's first full season. He's had the summer to recruit players. The goal last season for him was to survive because he came in so late. This season they've had a summer, they've had a transfer window, they've brought in players. There should be no excuses.
I think it takes time for a new manager to settle in. And if you're looking at a long-term project, then you can't just go out there and just buy Luis Suarez out of the blue. You have to start with, players that are affordable and would likely join your club, and then use them to get to the top, and then maybe get the players you actually really wanted, dream players. That's how Jurgen Klopp did it. Because when he started out with Liverpool, he did not have the best 11, but he used certain players to get to the top, and then he bought whoever the fuck he wanted to. But I think that sort of parallel ship is what Everton are trying to do, and what they're trying to do is just survive the relegation battle, make sure they can win these small matches, and then maybe just get some sort of money to invest next season, maybe come up with a plan or tactic. Although I don't think Frank Lampard is the right guy to do it, but I would predict a narrow win for Everton this weekend.
You're right about Everton just trying to survive, but it's the same with Southampton. Both teams has 7 points right now and being 13th and 14th in the league, so they have the same amount of points. Southampton has scored 7 goals and conceded 11. Everton has scored 5 and conceded 6. So they are kind of equal in a lot of ways. And I think that for both of them, this is kind of one of the matches that they really both have to win, because losing this can end up probably being relegated. But I have Everton winning with probably 1 goal or something, because I think slightly Everton is still stronger than Southampton, and since the beginning of the season I had Southampton getting relegated, and I still have, because I think Southampton is looking pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. With them being on 13th and 14th, it's a must-win, because not only do you get ahead of your direct competitor and rival, but you also drag them down. So there'll be a 6-point difference right there.
Absolutely.
You would want to take that. You would want to take that. A draw would be good for both, but then it would mean that both these teams would have to work harder going into the season. So winning is a must right here, right now.
The interesting thing is, this is the game we've spoken the longest about, and it's not like even about like the top 6 teams. But I guess we'll jump on to the next game, which is Leeds versus Aston Villa. Both teams have won 2 games this season, but Leeds have lost 2 games, while Aston Villa has lost 4 games. That's not looking good, and I think maybe those losses could affect their motivation. And I do see Leeds most likely getting away with this one, especially with Jesse Marsh being there, who I think is a fantastic manager. Harry, what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, Leeds have had a good season so far. They've been very attacking. They seem to have got a really nice style of football. It just doesn't seem to have clicked for them. Villa have struggled at times. They did well against City, I think, to get the draw, but apart from that, haven't really done much since. Looking at the form table, Villa lost 2, drawn 1, won 1 in the last 4.
Yeah.
Look, it's Leeds down the bottom. They've lost 2, drawn 1. So Villa are probably in the better run of form. Just if Villa can get themselves together, then they have a chance. Leeds do too. There's no real kind of standout side here.
Yeah.
It's not like there's any one standout players or anything either. Could go either way for me. I think it'd be an interesting game. Both sides play a really attractive brand of football.
Yeah.
I think Villa being able to get a draw with City shows me that there is some potential. Probably City had a bad match, and there can be a lot of reasons and all that kind of stuff. But I that shows to me that Villa, there is some potential there. But I think I will go with Leeds. I think Leeds is looking pretty good, and if not top 10, they will be right out of top 10 this season. I think Leeds they're doing a good job, and better than I expected when the season was starting. So I have Leeds winning.
Yeah,
I think Villa can do decent.
No, I mean, I don't want Villa to win. One reason, Steven Gerrard. I hate Liverpool to the core. So, I mean, I don't know what the game is going to be, but I honestly just want Leeds to win so that we can laugh at Steven Gerrard. And then I can tell certain people that, not every player can become a great manager. Not every legend from your team can become a great manager like Zidane did. You're never going to hear the end of it. I'm sorry. It's just the truth.
I don't like Zidane too. But we will jump on to the next game, which is both teams at the bottom tier of the league at the moment, 19th and 20th place in Leicester, surprisingly enough. I mean, they won the league, 8 years ago, against Nottingham Forest, who's won 2 Champions Leagues, apparently. So Leicester have lost 6 games this season, while Nottingham Forest has lost 5 games. Leicester hasn't won this season, but Nottingham's only won 1 game. So I don't know. Like, both of these teams are just really, really, really terrible. To be honest, I don't even care who wins. I don't know how it's going to go.
No. Please don't call Nottingham terrible.
No.
They're playing good.
That's not okay, Richard.
Heck, they're playing good.
Honestly, I would love for West Ham Aston Villa, and Everton to be relegated. So I could just see the rest of these teams survive. Maybe Southampton in place of Everton, but I'd love for these three teams to be relegated because I'd love for Nottingham Forest to survive a season. They got the money, they got the players. I would want them to stay. I would want them to actually have a chance at it because they've been out of the Premier League for 20 to 20, 30 years. So they need to at least have a decent chance when they've made it back to the top. So I would happily sacrifice Aston Villa, West Ham, and Southampton for this. Maybe Leicester, but I'd love to see Nottingham stay. And honestly, I think Leicester are going to win this one because they have the quality. They have certain players that have more experience. And the only thing that might probably see Leicester lose the game is if they don't put in that work rate. Because if you watch Nottingham Forest, you know that they put their soul out there on the pitch. Every time they step on the pitch, they just tell themselves one thing and one thing only. If we have to die today on that pitch to defend this badge, we will do it. And it's amazing to see a team actually trying so hard. These are the teams that require real support. So I think the second red team that I love in the Premier League after Manchester United is going to be Nottingham. All the other red I hate. So,
Since when are you a Manchester United fan?
Sorry, Harry?
Since when are you a Manchester United fan? Don't go spouting this bullshit.
I've been a Manchester United fan since I was 13. And
okay, sorry. The only reason he's a Manchester United fan is because Casemiro, Varane, and Ronaldo are there. Real Madrid players.
I mean, I don't care about them. They're not our players anymore. But
that's a lie, Abu. That's a lie. You know that's a lie. Okay.
But honestly, I mean, I did like.
If Zidane had taken over Chelsea instead of Graham Potter, you'd be a Chelsea fan right now.
He would. He really would.
I told you, my first team is Real Madrid. Second is wherever Ronaldo goes.
So Leicester has scored 10 goals, conceded 22. Nottingham has scored 6 goals and conceded 17. So pretty equal and I think if we are honest, we are talking about Nottingham. They have not been really good and stuff like that. Of course not. Like they are playing good, but it's barely impossible coming into Premier League and do great. And if you have told me that after 7 game weeks Nottingham will be ahead of Leicester with 3 points, I would have told you were crazy. But they are, and yeah, sure, Nottingham have 4 points, Leicester has 1. It's more Leicester being bad than it's Nottingham being good, but it doesn't matter. They're still ahead of Leicester, and I think that in itself is crazy. I'm going bold and saying that Nottingham is winning this match because I just don't see anything in Leicester. But of course they have Maddison, they have good players, so it could go. Leicester could easily win, but I'm going with Nottingham for this one.
Yeah, I think Forest have a really good side. I don't know why they're struggling. I think they should be taken to the Premier League like ducked water. They have a really strong side. They have a really good keeper. Their attack is very good. Yeah. They have a decent side. They're just not able to kind of convert it, but maybe they just need a few more games. I think they will end up being okay, I hope they will, because it's a good side. It might just need a bit more time for them to click and gel together. Yeah. It's a young side, though, as well, from what I can see. So they just need a bit of time to come good. Leicester are struggling badly at the moment. Danny Ward is no Kasper Schmeichel.
Don't say that.
You know
don't praise a Danish guy in front of Andrew.
You know it.
Please don't.
And then Vardy just isn't hitting the same heights as he usually is. Maybe he's just getting a bit too old at this point. Maddison, Barnes not doing much.
I mean, honestly, I'd love for Nottingham to win, just so the Leicester management, realizes that not making signings was the biggest mistake they made this transfer season. And I'd also love for Brendan Rodgers to get sacked because he's another one of those Liverpool legends. And I just love that all these Liverpool legends and players are actually flopping so bad. It's just a wonderful, wonderful thing to see. So I'd honestly love for Nottingham to win because one, it's my fantasy to let them see Premier League for a few seasons, and two, because Liverpool, nobody likes Liverpool.
Also a quick fact with Leicester. I think just in general, when you are able to concede 22 goals in 7 games, then it's difficult believing Leicester can actually win, and that's no matter who they are facing. So yeah.
You're right. You're sadly right for once.
Yeah, I guess that sums it up for the game week 9 games. I think we've said a mouthful, and then we can jump on to the Premier League sort of like award nominations. So first of all, we'll start with the nominees for Manager of the Month. So we have Conte from Spurs in contention for the award. We have the new manager for Bournemouth in O'Neill. And then we also have Ben Ten Hag from United. Who do you guys
Eric
think
Ten Hag.
deserves? Yeah, well, who do you guys think deserves the award for Manager of the Month?
I think Bournemouth, O'Neill, because after you get thrashed 9-0, 9-0,
By the best team in the
Uh,
multiverse? Yeah, yeah.
but 9-0, sorry, Richard, are you saying something? I can't hear you. Sorry, your internet dropped. But if you get thrashed 9-0, I don't think I would, 4 goals, 5 goals is enough. 6 tops, but anything beyond that is doing mental damage. And if any team can come back after the 9-0 defeat, and then yet, just from the next week start giving results, like Bournemouth has, I think the manager was, he must have had really big balls to come in there and, turn the stuff around. And I think O'Neill deserves it. I mean, I would love to give to Conte because he hasn't still lost. He has gone undefeated so far, but then so has Pep. And if Pep is not nominated, then, I don't think that should be the criteria for deciding. And I would love to give it to Eric Ten Hag, but then Manchester United are not on the top of the game yet. I mean, they have it easy. They have a good squad compared to Bournemouth. I'd give it to O'Neill any time of the day.
But
Yeah,
O'Neill has the worst record out of the 3. Played 2, 1-1, drawn 1. Conte has played 2, 1-2. Eric Ten Hag has played 2, 1-2.
But then if you
As
look
you
at how
said, Bournemouth have only beaten Forest, who are second bottom, and drawn against Newcastle. It's not like they've produced any wonderful, amazing results.
I mean, if you're losing 9-0 and then yet you can come out there and win a game and then draw with Newcastle, who have a stunning attacking prowess, then I think you have done something great when you're Bournemouth. Compared to Conte and Eric Ten Hag, Bournemouth have an awful squad, don't they? Are you not going to give credit to them for coming out of a slump like that? 9-0, Harry. I think if as a fan, if I conceded 9 goals, I've seen my friends from Barcelona when they conceded 8 against Bayern. I'm telling you, it is insane. You can never come out of that. It is like a blotch on your reputation. It's awful. So I think honestly, if you're looking at it from the point of view of survival, I think Bournemouth wins it, but I think most likely it's going to be Conte that will get it based on records.
Yeah, I think all three has good arguments for winning. Bournemouth, of course, being a new manager, doing probably the hardest job after such a big loss. With that said, I think Ten Hag also has a good reason because he probably had, in some ways, the most difficult job because people expect more from him. And what are you laughing at now, Abel?
No shit, Sherlock. They have the best record. That's why they nominated out of the other 17.
Yeah. But
now, who has the best case is what the question was.
Hold up. Sometimes there will be one that's clear. That's the clear winner. It's not always that you have 3 that all have a good argument. But I will say Bournemouth, of course, the difficult of just coming in after that big loss. United, I think Ten Hag has done a really good job with what people expect for him and deliver and with having such a big ego like Ronaldo that expects to be the best in the world. No, but there has been a lot of drama in the back, and I think he has done a really good job and made United a pretty good team again. And then you have Conte that probably is like what he has done in Spurs has been really, really good. So I think I will give it to Conte, but that's like you can give it to all of those three.
I mean, I agree with the Ten Hag part, but I don't know. I mean, Ten Hag did do it right. There has been internal drama. Benching Ronaldo quite and quite again is a good decision. Trust me, because as much as I love Ronaldo, I hate to say this, but he's done. He's over. His work rate is nil. There's no headers. There's that spirit is lacking. Wherein he just wants to get back and fight for every single thing. It's a pain to watch him. Honestly, it's a pain to watch him, and Ten Hag is doing the absolute right thing when he's benching him. But I think if it came to performances, I think O'Neill took the team in a very more, difficult situation, so to speak. And to revive sort of from there is it's phenomenal. I think O'Neill should win it. I mean, compared to Conte and Ten Hag, I think he's done a better job.
I would
He had
personally,
a second ship.
I may be biased, but I do think Ten Hag probably, looking at the fixtures and who they've had to beat. Spurs have beaten Fulham and Leicester. Bournemouth beat Forest and drew against Newcastle. United beat Leicester and beat Arsenal. And for me, Arsenal were top of the table and have been quite fancied for the league this season. So to beat the league leaders and the side that have had 100% record, I think, before
Right.
the game.
You do make a point.
Yeah,
With
huge
Arsenal, I mean, if you told me he deserved the manager award for beating Leicester, I probably wouldn't buy it because,
Yeah.
Leicester not that good.
Everyone beats Leicester.
Yeah, this season, yeah. But beating Arsenal is a feat, and I think he
Yeah.
should be rewarded for that. And they beat him. The scoreline was what 3-1, I suppose. So they beat them with comfort. So I think yes, he has done a great job. You are probably biased. Maybe I am too a little bit, but he does make a good he does make a good case. But I wouldn't give it to Conte. Definitely not.
I would. I think Conte deserved it the most.
Yeah, I think I'm also on the Conte side of things, but I think we can quickly try to run through the player of the month nominations, which is
It's not even a question.
I'll just get into it. Billing from Bournemouth, and then we have De Bruyne from Man City, and we have Højbjerg, the midfielder from Spurs, Iwobi, who my crush had a crush on Iwobi. I don't know what got into her, but anyway, Ramsey from Aston Villa, and then we have lastly Rashford from United. Who you guys think has the best chance of winning Player of the Month in the Premier League?
KDB. All day, every day, KDB.
And yes?
Yeah, I mean that man should have won Ballon d'Or 3 times already now.
Shut up.
Oh, he
That's
should.
got a bit of credit to as well, to be honest, though, because he's revitalised over the last few weeks under Ten Hag. He's really gotten the best out of him. 2 goals, 2 assists.
Yeah. Rashford does make a good
Bruyne's
case.
only got 3 assists. So I would also, but Kevin De Bruyne for me is the favourite, but you can't give Rashford
I
a
think
special mention.
the thing with De Bruyne is he's doing it all the time. So it's like, why is it this week or this month? Like, there's nothing. It's more. It has not been more than it usually is.
No. I'm sorry, but I don't believe that because De Bruyne, that is a class apart. It's usual for him, but it's not for everybody else. That is what sets him class apart. I mean, it's like saying Ronaldo and Messi should not have won their second Ballon d'Or.
Yeah, I know, but like sometimes you can be okay. This guy had a outstanding month, where with Kevin De Bruyne, it's not outstanding. It's just how he keep being at a outstanding level. But sometimes you can go all like you deserve it because you had an outstanding month. Kevin De Bruyne has not had an outstanding month. He's just freaking Kevin De Bruyne.
I mean, Rashford does make a good contender, but then, like Harry said, De Bruyne is central to what Manchester City does.
Yeah.
Rashford, you can replace him as things stand right now. You can, and I honestly think De Bruyne should win it. And nobody should ever be stripped off of an award just because it's usual for them. They work for it, and I think everybody that works for something should be paid for it. So I think I would give it to De Bruyne. I side with Harry. I mean, Rashford does make a good case, but it's not good enough.
Yeah, I guess with that we can jump on to the UEFA Nations League international games. I mean, there's been teams that have been doing well, and some national teams that have just been looking off color, and it's just sad. And I think talking about that, one team really comes to mind, which is England, and there've been some debates in terms of like the manager Southgate. Is he really good enough? And if he's not, like who would replace him? What's been going wrong with the team? Is it a formation thing? Is it a mentality thing? What is the thing that's not making England, because they haven't even won one game in that table, which is quite embarrassing. But why is the question? Harry, want to tell us your thoughts on that?
Yeah, look, I think the problem with England at the moment is that we're just too defensive. Before the Germany game last night, it was 5 games without a win, 5 games without a goal from open play. Too defensive. That is the huge problem. If you look at that side, there is no reason why we cannot play an attacking, attractive brand of football, realistically. Like, you have the likes of Sterling, Kane, Foden. This is a golden generation of England players. Bellingham, who's scoring goals for fun at Dortmund. Harry Kane, who is on fire this season in the Premier League so far. Sterling has scored a few this season. It's kind of frustrating as an England fan to watch, because there is so much quality in this team. And when they go forward, you can see it. Like last night, the link-up play was excellent. They can create stuff really well. The Southgate really just likes sitting back and trying to grab a goal on the counter-attack. Whereas with this England team, you don't need to do that. You should trust in your players. You have a good squad of players there. Why are you trying to be defensive and have 11 men behind the ball when you could easily take the game to teams? Like going into a World Cup where you're going to be playing in a group stage with likes of Iran, USA, Scotland. You're not going to be playing like that against those teams. You'll be going out and playing attacking football, trying to beat these teams 5, 6, 7, 8-0. There's no reason why they can't do that against the bigger teams too. And Southgate has always been very, very defensive. It's hard to see though how this team nearly won the Euros just over a year ago. It's it's a shade of that side. It's not the same side anymore, for whatever reason. And I think also we have to look at the idea of players who aren't playing for their clubs, who are getting into the national team, like Maguire, like Luke Shaw. Why are these guys playing if they're not playing week in, week out for their club? If they're not good enough to play for their club every week, how are they good enough to play for their country? That should not be a thing. You should be picking players on form, picking players on who's winning and who's doing well and who's actually playing, because that's how you get the best out of your team. Because picking someone just based on reputation is not good enough, because they're going to lack match sharpness, they're going to lack that clinical ability, they're not in form, so that's going to cost you. It's frustrating to watch England, because they're so defensive and they have they could easily take the game to the likes of Germany and Italy, but for whatever reason they're just not doing that. They're just not attacking well enough.
So from the sound of it, you hate the fact that Maguire started yesterday.
He shouldn't have
No
played.
judgment here.
No, he shouldn't have played. He shouldn't have started the last 2 games. There is no reason why he should have played. He doesn't play. He's not playing for United. He shouldn't be playing for England. And
it is.
So you do think he's performing poorly?
Yeah. He was responsible for the penalty yesterday. He gave a penalty away for the Gundogan goal, which was the penalty. Mm-hmm. He was the one that gave the penalty away, and then he was also responsible for the 3rd goal as well. He gave the ball away.
So, like,
Deep.
Southgate is Warren Southgate. Is that his name? He is openly supporting Shaw and Maguire. Shaw and Maguire. Do you think, in his words, he's saying there's no need to disrespect the most senior players of the squad, but
Yeah.
do you think it is a tactic that he's trying to use to actually feel these players right now to see if they would actually perform in the World Cup? Maybe he's just trying to test them and see if they would actually work. If they don't, then he's not going to probably pick them for the squad at the World Cup. Maybe that's what he's trying to do.
Maybe, I don't know, but it's just difficult to watch when these players are so good. It's a golden generation of players. Trust in your players.
Agreed, definitely. I mean,
Andreas, do you have
wouldn't
some
give
hot
so much-
takes?
What?
Do you have some hot takes on the topic?
Yeah. I think Harry is actually pretty spot on because looking at the squad that was showed for these two games, there's a lot of defensive players, and that's probably the biggest weakness with England, that they don't have like the best defensive players in the world. They have amazing attackers, amazing midfielders, but defensive it's not the best. So it's really weird playing defensive when that's like your biggest mistake or your biggest weakness. But I guess you could argue that he's playing against Germany, he's playing against Italy. I think he was trying to kind of be how can you say it, being strategic and
Cautious.
not
Conservative, yeah.
yeah. But at the same time, it's like it's a Germany team, it's an Italy team that's not in the World Cup. Surely they won the Euros, but they are not in the World Cup. They did not qualify for that. Germany is 11th in the world rankings right now. Denmark is ahead of them. So we are. so it's an Italy team and a German team that always will be huge teams. But they are not on the level that they have been before. And then there's Hungary that suddenly has been really good, but I also think they have been good because the other teams has not been that good. So yeah, he was probably trying to play it safe and stuff like that. But at the same time, when you have the players you have, when you're playing not the strongest version of Italy and Germany, it just doesn't work playing like that. And I think it's difficult because he got England to the Euros final. So I think it's difficult talking about should he get sacked now. But I think it is something that should start being talking more about.
I think the TV presenter yesterday after the game that I was watching, he summed it up really well. He said after 70 minutes that it was Southgate out. After 85 minutes, the whole place was cheering. It was just crazy. And the thing is, England could have won that game last night if they hadn't given away a last minute goal. It was small mistakes. It's not like it was major things. They are a good side and they have potential, but at the moment, if they keep playing like this, they're not going to win the World Cup. It's not coming home this year. If things don't get...
Yeah, I guess with that said, we can jump on to the next game, which, Andreas has been bragging about how Denmark have really, really been performing well.
I saw you messed up the thing at the bottom, all right, and I was wondering, did Andreas have something to say something about that?
Oh no, yeah, I think I quickly corrected it because I saw Andreas, how confident Andreas was. You at the stadium, Andreas, tell us about how it felt.
Guys, I'd like to ask for reconvening. Reconvening. I don't want to discuss nothing about this game. I don't want to be here right now.
We are now champions right now.
Oh my god, this is exactly why I don't want to hear anything about it, because he's talking ballooning.
If this was boxing, if this was MMA, if this was wrestling, we would be the world champions right now. So I'm just saying,
and this isn't MMA, boxing, or wrestling for a reason.
Fair to call me the world champion right now because I am. And I heard our manager, Kasper Hjulmand, he went out to say that they have not won it without the fans at the stadium. And I was at the stadium. So he has actually told me that I was a part of winning the match. So I'm the world champion now. No, honestly, it was insane. Like I've been to many home games now for Denmark, but it was just on another level. When they were singing the national song, everyone was going crazy. It was amazing. It really was amazing. And the amount of boost that Mbappe got every time he had the ball, also insane. It's just every game is special. Every game is
special. Who chooses money over their own dreams should be booed, and I really appreciate the Danish fans for this. Good job, guys. Good job.
No, it was a really special feeling being there, and I was really nervous because I can't lie. France was for the first 25 minutes or so they had the ball all the time. We barely had the ball. So when the first goal came, it was just crazy that now we had a chance, and then the second goal and yeah, it was just crazy. And it's not even like France was not playing good. Like Griezmann, Giroud, Mbappe, all the random Real Madrid guys that were playing as well. It was, besides those, the team was doing pretty good. And Schmeichel in particular, he became man of the match because he had some of the most crazy savings I have ever seen. I don't remember if it was Mbappe or Griezmann, but one of them had the ball. Schmeichel had not seen it. He was tying his shoe or something, and then he just saw that this guy was running towards him, and he just got the ball somehow. It was amazing. It really was. Awesome. And we are the world champions now.
I mean, I think the only reason why Denmark defeated France is because the best player in the world right now is injured, and I think if he was around, Denmark wouldn't have a chance.
Okay, I know Kanté is really good, but I think we will have won even though Kanté was there. But I get what you're saying.
Best player in the world right now. When I say that, I mean the person that's probably going to win the Ballon d'Or in 23 days.
Kevin De Bruyne.
Erling Haaland.
This is why nobody likes you. Nobody likes you.
There's nothing Abu hates more than to see me being happy and being able to roast him for something he has not been able to see. There's nothing Abu hates more than that. But it was really really awesome. It was.
But I do think if this is what the game is going to be like, France are going to have it tough. And I mean, I was hoping that France would be the first team to break the champions' curse. But at this rate, it's looking difficult, isn't it?
Yeah. But we are facing them again in the World Cup, so we're going to beat them twice.
It's going to be interesting, definitely.
I guess with that, we can jump on to the next game. I mean, I have always loved the Netherlands, Holland, because of obvious reasons. I mean, they've always had good players, but they've just lacked that edge to finally get silverware, given the amount of times they've made it to the semi-finals and finals of many international games.
Just to say, it was only 1-0. It wasn't 4-1.
Looks like I'm not on track with most of these things, but yeah. Harry, what are your thoughts on how the game ended up the way it ended up?
Yeah, look, it was a very dull game, and both sides kind of shut each other down. Look, I think Belgium, they've had their time, they've had the golden generation, and now they need something else. They're just not clicking. This side has had their time. They're kind of getting older. Both sides are an older side, to be fair. It was Virgil van Dijk, actually, that got the goal for the Netherlands.
Get in.
But yeah, look, I think both sides need an injection of youth. And you can kind of see where it's coming from with Netherlands and the Ajax Academy. With Belgium, where's the next generation coming from? That's the question. Like, in a couple of years, like, come the Euros in 2 years' time, what is Belgium team going to be like? Because I just don't see where these young players are going to come from for Belgium. And it is an older side. Like, if you look at the teams look at the lineup. Here, Courtois in goal.
I mean, I
Back
agree
three
with.
was Vertonghen, Alderweireld, and De Bast. Then you had Mounier, Onana, Witsel, Castagne, Hazard, and De Bruyne. Then behind Batshuayi. Like a lot of these players have had their day. Like Courtois, Vertonghen, Alderweireld don't play in the Premier League anymore. They've had their time. Mounier is getting on. Axel Witsel.
But then they did not play De Bruyne
Hazard
either.
isn't
He didn't have time.
necessarily doing a whole lot either. You know, a lot of these players have had their day.
I think the biggest upsets are probably going to come from Belgium and France if they happen in the World Cup. And honestly, I think I'd rather give Italy the spot than Belgium in the World Cup because they're more deserving. Italy have been playing good. So, yeah, I really wish I saw these two teams more, Colombia and Italy, but it's probably not going to happen this World Cup at least.
I think the thing with Belgium is that it's true, like that their top players is getting older, and this is like their golden generation since I think the 60s or something like that, where they were also really good. But this is like a really good Belgium team, but they are getting older, and this is probably their last like honest chance at winning at least the World Cup. I think most of them will still be there for the Euros in 2 years, but at least for the World Cup. I think with Netherlands though, I think they have not been looking like that good for the last 3 or 4 years or something like that. But it's starting to get better. I mean, I'm used to Netherlands from 2010 where they lost the final. So it's just like when you know how good they have been, it's just they are not quite there. But I think it's getting better, and Belgium right now is the second team in the world rankings. They are number 2, and Netherlands is number 8. And these rankings are from August, so still pretty new. So yeah, really good win for Netherlands, and a Belgium team that really needs to think about what is it they want to do, what's realistic for them. With the World Cup coming up.
Unless you guys would want to talk up, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, unless you guys would want to talk about the Spain versus Portugal game, where obviously another Liverpool player, Jota, scored. I mean, Liverpool, like, what would the world be without Liverpool players?
Excuse me, there was 2 United players that scored as well. Just saying,
and multiple Wolverhampton players. So how about that?
Yeah, but what are you guys' thoughts on the win by Portugal?
Portugal are winning the World Cup. It's going to be Portugal versus Argentina in the final, and then Ronaldo is going to score a bicycle kick in the 90th minute.
Portugal is not even going to make it through the group stage. Come on.
I think Brazil have a better squad. I don't think Argentina will get far. I think
Brazil... I really hope Portugal win it, but I'm really supporting Brazil and Portugal both. And I really want Portugal to win it because this probably be the last time I ever watched Ronaldo play a World Cup. So, of course, I want Portugal to win it. And Brazil are some other team that I'm actually really relying on as well, because I think they got a really good squad depth.
Yeah, I do worry about the depth though for Portugal. They don't have depth. Their first team is good, but they just don't have the depth.
They do actually. Portugal has a really good depth. If they use it well, they have a very good depth. Maybe defense is a bit shaky, but in attack they have wonderful attacking options. They have Jota, they have Bernardo Silva, they have Nunes, they have Ronaldo, they have
Renato.
Foden. They have a very good squad. Provided their manager, what's his name? I forget. He does good. I think Portugal do have a great chance.
Yeah, I think Portugal is right now ahead of Spain in this Nations League. So if Portugal can just get a tie, then they are winning their group. So Portugal is a good team. They are eighth in the world rankings. No, sorry, 9. They're 9 in the world rankings.
Those
Spain
world
is.
rankings don't matter.
They
lie.
do. They do.
They
I
lie.
don't even think India is on the list, to be honest. But anyways, Portugal is 9, Spain is 6. Portugal is 9, Spain is 6. But Portugal is ahead of Spain in the Nations League right now, so as Portugal can just get a tie, they're winning, and that's pretty good for Portugal because it has not been an easy group with Switzerland as well in it. That's a good team. So I think for the World Cup, I don't see Portugal winning. I don't think Portugal is quite there, but I think they will probably get top. They will get in the quarterfinal, maybe semifinal. And I mean Portugal is a team that if Ronaldo can be at his best, I hate to say it, but if he does his best, he could do some scary stuff and maybe even win it all. So there is possibilities. Like Portugal is a really big team and so there's possibilities there, but I'm not quite there. I think with Spain though, I think there's a lot of possibilities. Semi-final in
No.
Spain was a team that I remember for the Euros. Everyone talked about Spain was in a new phase. They were trying to build a new team.
They are a bad team still. They are still a bad team. They have an aging defense. Their backup midfielders aren't that great. They're relying on Sergio Busquets. Their attack is not that
You don't get
great.
to the semi-finals in the Euros if you're not a good team. You don't.
I mean,
Denmark did it
sometimes
as
some
well in the other
teams get,
semi-finals.
sometimes some teams get lucky. You know, it's just a lucky run.
Yeah, of course, but I don't think they were. I think Spain is a good team. I do.
I think the reason why Spain aren't a good team is because of the Real Madrid players that are in the Spain team. I think if you get rid of those people and you put in Barca players or Real Sociedad, Villarreal, they'd actually
Fun fact, no Real Madrid players were selected last time they played, and this time there
Because
are only
they're so
2
bad.
Real Madrid players. So you can't blame Real Madrid players being the reason.
Oh, so that's why you don't like Spain. Okay, it makes sense now. Now it makes sense.
Did I just expose myself?
Yeah.
I have the
But I
lineups
don't
actually
like.
for Spain, Portugal. If you want, I go through them quickly. In goal for Spain is Simon. Then I don't know why De Gea doesn't start anymore for Spain, but anyway, back
He
four is
stopped starting after Ronaldo doing his career. 3-0.
back
3-3
four is
actually.
Carvajal, Guillamon, Pau Torres, and Gaia. Midfield 3 is Koke, Rodri, and Sola, with Sarabia, Morata, and Ferran Torres as the front 3. Portugal, Costa in goal. Back 4 of Cancelo, Pereira, Ruben Diaz, and Mendes.
That's solid.
Midfield, Ruben Neves, William Carvalho, and Bruno Fernandes behind an amazing front 3 of Ronaldo, Jota, and Bernardo Silva.
Now, how can you tell me that team does not have backup? Come on.
I don't know why Dallo isn't starting. But
I'm telling you, these guys are stacked. Portugal is stacked. Whereas Spain, you have a Francis Pablo Sarabia. That's an aging player. Alvaro Morata, seriously, and Ferran Torres.
I don't even know who half of these players are. I don't know who the hell Guillamon is. I don't know who Gaia is.
You don't know who Jose Gaia is?
No.
You don't know who... Oh my God.
From that reaction, I assume he's a Real Madrid player.
He's not a Real Madrid player. He plays for Valencia. I'm not sure if he does anymore, but he's a wonderful fullback. In his prime days, I think he could have easily secured a move to one of the top Premier League clubs, but he didn't. I don't know why. Something didn't go through. But he's a great player. He's a wonderful fullback.
I guess,
maybe if you were English, then you'd probably hear more of him.
Abdus, how about you give us the English version of his name, if you could try?
Jose Gaia, right? Julian Gardiner.
Top class, the best player I've ever known my entire
Top
life.
class, best player ever, better than Cafu. Yeah.
But, yeah, I guess
generational talent.
Who knows? But yeah, I guess on that comedic note, that'll sum it up. Thank you guys, the millions of viewers, for watching. I hope you guys can like the video, comment if you didn't like maybe Abdes or Andres' hot takes, or you liked Harry's takes. And yeah, if all goes well, you should see us next week again for another awesome episode where we'll try to cover the Champions League and the Premier League games because the international break will be over. But unless you guys want to add anything more, this should be it.
Two things.
We are
two
the world
things.
champions
Zidane is the best.
of the world.
Zidane is the
We are
best.
the world
Zidane is
champions
the
of
best
the
in Real
world.
Madrid.
We did it.
Zidane is the best. We can end that right there.
Oh my god. Yeah, that should